people are really broke.
Mm-hmm.
And because they can't give somebody a Hallmark Christmas or a Currier Knives Christmas, they feel terribly guilty about it. Now, here's the whole thing. And this is where you and I may differ, because I think that if it's Christmas you want to celebrate, you don't need to celebrate it with expensive gifts. You need to celebrate it by doing things that make memories, including...
That's so me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
God, yeah.
but including it's a religious holiday. And people need to... If you're celebrating a religious holiday, maybe you should explore the religious aspects, which are often free. Which is going to church on Sundays, the Advent, our church does a big thing about lighting the candles, and there's a whole, this is how we get ready for that. There are all kinds of free events you can go to. You can go to Sing-Along Messiahs, and you can walk in parks that are decorated. Morris has a beautiful one. Ottawa's is much better than it was. But find a park near you and walk in the dark with your children. They will remember that. They will not remember a plastic toy or an Xbox game, but they will remember that. When our son was little, we used to take him to the park, to Washington Square, and we would play hide and go seek under the lights. So Stan or I would take his hand because he was little, and the other one would hide, and we'd go and find him, right? Or we'd go and play hide and go seek. He remembers that. He can't tell you, except for the monster truck he got, the battery operated monster truck. He doesn't really have a lot of gifts that he recalls. One or two favorite ones from when he was little.
Mm-hmm.
And, so, and when he was little, like that, we had money to do, but we always made sure we did stuff. We took him to, free ornament making sessions or whatever. And so there's all of that stuff out there. You do got to look for it, But you can go to your local high school to a choral concert. You can go to get a bunch of the kids together and go sing Christmas carols at the nursing home. There's a lot of things you can do to make those memories. Making cookies is such a huge thing, being part of the meal preparation. Those things cost little to nothing. But if you're just stressing because you can't buy the latest Xbox, or you can't buy the bike, or whatever it is that they're asking for, you're missing the point, right? It's that family together time that, like my kids, 4-H fair, they remember us going on Thursdays for the family meal. It was like a free hamburger fry done by the Cattlemen's Association. But they remember Stan taking time off work and being there with them, and, it was 4 days of family time. So that's how I think you circumvent that, because that's what the kids... Could we go play in the park again? Can we go look at the Christmas lights? Can we do, fill in the blank? And it's not like, I need another Xbox next year. It's going to be, can we go do those fun things? Don't your kids do that? Can we decorate the house? Do you remember that time we made a gingerbread house and it fell apart, So, and we took it to Heidi's house and fed it to the horses because they'll eat it, or the chickens. So those are the things that I wish people would focus on, rather than going into debt. Go to a payday loan store. Go to a title loan thing. Put yourself deep in debt, and so that you're still paying on last Christmas, this Christmas, right? And there's other... if you're really, really poor, man, you may not always agree with the Salvation Army, but they will take care of you. There's Toys for Tots will take care of you. All kinds of places will help you, but you've got to let them know now, because you can't let them know Christmas Eve. So you're just nodding.
No. I agree with everything you said. I think that I think I was just thinking that would be a really good show to do.
Mm-hmm.
Would be, the holiday spirit and memories mean more than things,
gifts,
or something like that. That would be a great episode to do.
The greatest gift you can give a child is memories.
The greatest gift you can give anyone.
Yeah. Something special. it doesn't
That would
have
be a
to
really
be.
sweet, uplifting one. I was
Yeah.
thinking more along the lines of, depression and
Yes.
not feeling bad just that you can't buy your kids stuff, but a larger picture of depression where, there are people who we have that myth of, well, somebody's always got it worse than you do, so shake yourself out of it. And that's how I was raised.
Yeah.
Somebody's always better than you, somebody's always worse off than you. Stop feeling bad for yourself, kick yourself in the ass,
Right.
and keep going.
And
And that's how I was raised. And
that's
but
a tough way to.
yeah, well, welcome to that's me.
Yeah.
So when you do have those feelings, it's hard not to get that. And the holidays bring up memories,
Yeah.
as and we talk about that another episode. But it's also a time where it's okay to get sad. There may be loved
It
ones
is.
that
You're
miss,
missing. Yeah.
or memories that you miss, and all of these things can compound
Yes.
to lead you to a place where you're normally not at, and that's okay. And maybe tie that into the things you can do to try to
Lift
put
yourself
yourself up a little, but not.
It's not
But if
going
you
to
can't,
take it all away.
But if you can't, that's okay too.
It
Get
is
help.
okay.
And
Yeah.
it's okay to cry, and it's okay to have, feel what you're feeling. So maybe do the two pieces or together.
We have a friend of ours that from our church. He's passed away now, but he was an only child and his parents had passed away, and he was kind of all alone in the world. And you know what he did every Christmas Eve and Christmas Day? He went to the nursing homes and helped feed the elderly at mealtimes because they had no one.
And sometimes it is so hard for people to take that first step.
I know.
And that's a lot of times a chemical issue, and sometimes it's a mental issue, but sometimes it's to get even to that step.
It weighs on you like a ton of bricks.
And you could and you should, but you can't.
Yep.
And that is something that we need to understand and accept and find ways and ask for help.
Right. Sometimes you plumb the depths of your sorrow and your sadness and your depression, and it's hard to roll over and try something new. It's so hard to get out of that rut. And it's not, it can be chemical.
We're comfortable.
But,
we
we wrap ourselves.
Patterns. So
right.
If we know that, we, like when we have an argument with our spouse, oftentimes couples end up not getting anywhere with counseling or not getting anywhere with each other because as a new issue arises, they fall back to the same arguments.
Exactly.
They repeat the easy things, the once upon a times.
Yes.
And all people do that. You're comfortable in an argument pattern. When you start to go outside of that, it gets uncomfortable.
It does. And, the thing is that misery is something we can roll ourselves up in with like a comfortable blanket. We surround ourselves with it and we envelope ourselves because it's something we can feel. We can really feel it. And that depth of emotion and feeling can be in and of itself comforting, familiar more than comforting, but it's a familiar pain, right? It's going back to those patterned issues. And so when you roll yourself up in that comfy blanket and you feel that sorrow, when you can't feel anything else, that's where you go. And I know when I battled depression, deep depression, and it had a lot to do with separating from my family. And so when I went there, that was me. I was miserable at Christmas. Miserable. Because my mother-in-law died. I was estranged from my parents. I was away from my family. And it was hard to do, and I would be miserable. And then I realized that I was making everybody around me miserable. And sometimes that's kind of a high, everybody's misery loves company, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to I had chemical help, I had to get some medication to help me out of it. And then
nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. And then once I was able to evolve past it, I was okay. I developed a healthy outlook.
It just takes the chemical help
Yes.
to get you to the point where you can even begin to address it without
I know,
that.
right.
It's no one's
Thank
fault.
God for a good psychiatrist and some chemicals.
Medication sometimes is a good thing.
Yes, and it helped me work through it. And then I was able, when I was healthier mentally, I was able to tackle it and conquer it. And people go, well, you couldn't have gone through that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And
I think we all battle with issues
yeah,
every day, and the holidays can magnify those.
your mind is your best friend and your worst enemy. And when you start listening to that little voice on your shoulder that tells you you're not good enough, you can't ever be good enough. You can't be part of something else. You can't be anything. When you tap into that, because that sorrow is comforting because it's familiar, it's being able to shed that and walk away. And that is really tough for a lot of people, physically, mentally, emotionally, you know. So having been there, having walked that walk, God, I can still feel it. And I know you can't just say, well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We know the bootstraps don't exist, you know.
And
so
we know that, you know,
it's not that easy.
no, not always. It really
Never.
isn't. It's very complicated because
It's
you
very
have
complicated.
physical issues.
I knew I
that
should have
go
wore a
along with
t-shirt
it.
today.
You have
It's hot in here.
we can turn it down.
Yeah.
You have your physical issues, you have your mental issues, you have your societal issues, your familial issues, and all of those layer on each
That damn
other.
Hallmark channel, I'm telling you, and cookie bake-offs. Stop it! Some of us can't go there, you know. So, and
For me, it's not as much the expectation of what I'm supposed to do or those sorts of things.
yeah,
This year, I've had a really hard time getting in the spirit, and I've done things that I usually do.
you need to go to a sing-along Messiah.
And yeah, okay, I'll get right on that.
Yeah,
I'll get right on that. But
just because it's fun.
usually by my birthday,
Happy birthday!
thank you. My trees are up and they're decorated, and that's the start of the spirit. And it goes back, I think, a lot because we have a lot of birthdays in our family in December.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like you were talking about memories, it's my dad always made my birthday extremely special.
Oh, honey,
Oh, it's fine.
I know. The first year without my mom, and your dad, even though he's there, he's not there.
But every year he would work countless hours and hours and hours, always overtime. But every year he would pick me up from school on my birthday out in Wallace, and we would go to Farm and Fleet.
Yeah.
Because there were no toys in Ottawa. There weren't any toy stores. There wasn't a Walmart. You only got that at Farm and Fleet when the Christmas shop opened.
Right?
And my dad would take me there, and we would get an ornament. He'd let me pick out an ornament, and then a toy. And we'd go to Ponderosa, because I love the mashed potatoes. You remember Ponderosa?
I love Ponderosa.
Or KFC or something.
Ponderosa was the best, though.
Oh, yeah. And then we'd go home and have our day. But it was always something that he made extremely special. And that sort of kicked off the season. And every year, he would have the Christmas trees up by my birthday.
Aww.
So I get the trees up, and, you know, we decorated early because it was, you know, and it just didn't do it. And I started thinking about the giving things that we're going to do, and I made these table arrangements out of trees for the ID Wow fundraiser, and it was so pretty and very spirited, and it just didn't get me.
Yeah.
And I've really been struggling this year. So the boys had their collage concert on Thursday, and this is a beautiful event. It's band and choir combined at the high school, at Plainfield Central High School. And they start off with a brass quartet out front before you even walk in. And it's amazing. Acts, songs.
Sounds wonderful.
It is. And there's nothing better to put you in the holiday spirit. My mom used to always tell me when I was in high school, a long time ago, and in choir, she would always tell me that if she wasn't feeling in the spirit, that the concert would do that for her. So we've always gone, even when our kids weren't in choir yet. And that usually does it. And it actually was on my birthday.
Marie,
and it didn't do it.
It's okay if it doesn't happen this year. It's like every time you have sex, it isn't always great, right?
But I feel guilty because I'm a family of boys.
Yes.
So husband is horrible with holidays.
Yeah.
He's like anti-holiday man.
Is he?
And the other ones are preteens and teenagers.
Oh,
and
they're just horrible in and of itself.
Yeah, well, that's true. But it's so important to them because they talk about it. They talk about the memories and the things we do and the things I do to make it be Christmas.
Yes.
But I can't. I'm struggling this year to make it be Christmas.
Yeah.
Yet I know they're depending on me to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping maybe y'all can help out. We'll post this as a bonus episode.
Oh,
we're still recording. We didn't even realize it. Look, we are still recording. So
yeah.
But I'm hoping soon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I totally understand. The year that Stan, in 2016, when my husband had those 3 major back surgeries, and he was diagnosed with cancer that year. And the year before, he'd had a heart condition and he retired. And my son said to me, he goes, "Do you remember we put the Christmas tree up finally Christmas Eve, and then we just opened all the presents?" We didn't even sleep that night. Stan was at St. Joseph's in Joliet. And he called me crying in the morning. Of course, he was so out of it on all the drugs they had him on. He called me crying because the food was so bad.
I remember you telling me this story.
I felt terrible because I hadn't made any food yet because we stayed up so late. But he was so whacked out on all the drugs.
He probably wouldn't have known anyway.
And we went to... I hurried up and went in the kitchen. I made some food to take to him. And we all got in the car and went. And I remember it was just such a lonely Christmas. It was like it came and we went through the motions, but it just was a really hard year for us. And my son teased me this year. He goes, "Well, with me gone, am I going, because he's got his own house now, are you going to put the tree up at all this year?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm going to do it.
Of course I'm going to put the tree up."
And I told him, I said, I want to paint first. He's like, "Uh-huh." So I was just thinking maybe this week I should just get on it, put the tree up and paint around it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but
you just, when you were talking about that, and you were mourning the things that you usually did, right? You said you didn't even have time to make dinner, and it didn't feel like Christmas, and no one was really in the spirit.
It was so hard.
And I think that's okay to mourn those things.
Yeah.
To be okay. So my things are different this year. A different dynamic family, or
such a hard year.
Different economic or family illness, and I think it'll change things, and I think that's okay. Maybe I need a new tradition. Maybe I need to push myself and try something new.
It's really hard. Making new traditions is always hard. And the thing is as your family ages, there are things that also change. There's no more Christmas concerts at school for the Henry family because they're all done with that. Mm-hmm. There's no more holiday shuffle because my mother-in-law's passed away. My dad's 97. My siblings all have a zillion kids each, so they bring their children and grandchildren to their homes now. So you have to make your own traditions along the way. And it's like I loved doing the holiday shuffle when the kids were little, and then it was so difficult because then by the time you're done, you have a toddler that's just on sheer meltdown because they've had it. They're so overstimulated. But the things that we've always kept the same is we always go to church late Christmas Eve. We always drive through Ottawa and look at the Luminaria. We always, we always have prime rib on Christmas Eve, except for 2016.
Right.
So, and I can ruin a prime rib like nobody else, but then when I get it right, it's really great. So there's things that we do. We walk in our woods a lot on Christmas Day because it's so beautiful and peaceful back there. And if we're lucky, there's a little snow. So there's things that we've done as a family, but now as my children grow up, they're going to want to start their own traditions. And that's, I'm okay with that. Maybe mine will involve palm trees one day, but I doubt it because I'll never leave Illinois. So I love it here.
I guess, wherever you are, it's okay. Wherever you are, it's okay to be. And
just don't
try to find something.
Just don't blame yourself because don't blame yourself because you feel bad. A lot of people feel bad, and quit watching Hallmark movies. Those things will just screw you up.
Oh my gosh! All right.
So